vocal mic, Donnie. Let me know if you can hear me, Donnie. What's up, Jeff? Jeff Langston. We got Portland representing the great state of Oregon. Oregon. Just getting set up here quickly. Making sure that I'm on all my streams. To broadcast this midlife crisis. How's everyone doing? Y'all get vaccinated yet? I got one of them. Waiting on the second one. Hey Jeff, can you hear my vocal mic? Is it clear? And also, is that background track I know I can depend on your ears. All right. So yeah, today I was gonna do like a pan-South American vibe. Differences between Brazilian stuff, Puerto Rican stuff, Cuban stuff. The things that those guys won't tell you because you don't speak Spanish. Cool. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, there's a lot of in these genres like jazz, there's this thing called getting vibed when you go to a club. People like to vibe you to keep you out of the jazz club that's that big. It's like it should be like, oh, you're thinking about liking jazz? Come on in. Let's explain it to you. Be a part of this great American tradition. No, it's just like that motherfucker's probably sad. It's the first thing people think. The funny thing is that, in such a fringe market, you figure people would be like anxious to have people interested in what they do. But that's like, nah, man, this is our special club. So there's some stuff like that in other genres. Like you have to deal with a lot of macho bullshit in the Latin scene. So I guess I can say that because I'm a guy, so I can say macho bullshit. I don't know what the new rules are. I do care to a certain extent. I'll call you whatever you want, pronoun-wise, but I'm getting it together. With all due respect, because everyone deserves respect. But anyway, so back to the macho bullshit. A lot of time, it's like the clave police, like this is right and this is wrong, and there's a lot of rules. But again, if I go back to something like rock or jazz that we can talk about as Americans freely, sort of. What are the rules of rock? I don't know. Play a beat, have it be steady, go to the ride on the chorus. There's not really any rules per se on my instrument. There are, like play with good time and good feel and know how the song goes. But in Latin music, a lot of time you have to think about things like clave, and if there is a clave, or if there isn't a clave, or if you're putting a clave somewhere where it doesn't belong, it's the end of the world, so to speak. But I'm going to try to clear this up in 45 minutes so that you guys will never get vibed on a Latin gig if you're the gringo on the gig. You're like, oh, okay. This guy's not terrible. So what I'm going to do is I am going to start with right now what we're listening to is New Yorican Salsa. And the artist is Eddie Palmieri. Typically, New Yorican Salsa is mostly kind of dance-oriented. And like the Palladium back in the day with Tito Puente and all those great bands, a lot of it was 2/3 clave most of the time. And it's easy to dance to, kind of poppy. This song is a good illustration of that. So I'm going to play along to this a bit. So yeah, that song, like once the choreo gets going, which is the repetitive Montuno cowbell and the chorus when the guys are singing the chorus. Ay mi muñeca, perdóname. Ay mi muñeca, perdóname. So that's kind of the general flow of that. And I've played with incredible bass players in New York City and LA that if you don't know how to phrase within that context of you're not aiming for beat one when you play stuff. If you're playing bang, you're aiming to land on beat four, which is the third beat of the three side of the clave. It sounds like a lot of gobbledygook, but it's not. It's like it really makes a lot of sense when you think about it. The reason why I bring up, I play with a lot of great bass players in New York and LA, because it doesn't matter how good the bass player is, like Jedi level bass Olympian, if they don't know to phrase like that, and I play a fill and I, play in clave and land on the proper part of the beat, a lot of times, not a lot of times because it hasn't happened that often frequently, it hasn't happened that frequently, but sometimes those cats will think that I was crushing beat one, which is what most Western dudes that aren't Cuban or Puerto Rican or some kind of Latino vibe that's got clave, they'll maybe think that's one. So that can be dangerous. It's only happened a couple times, but when it's happened, I'm like, wow, couldn't believe it. Anyway, because like these dudes are such badasses that it's like you would figure they would know that, but it doesn't matter how badass you are. Everyone's got their kryptonite. Everyone, for the most part. There's a couple of freaks on Earth that do not. But that being said, the next track after the one that I just played, they should. Yeah, it should. Yep, yep. That should be it. Can you just test that real quick? Just hit this. Yeah, cool. This next one, we're gonna jump from New Yorican salsa. We're gonna go to Brazil. Now, most Western dudes and American peeps and stuff like that think of Brazil and they think of two things. They think of bossa nova and they think of samba, which you should because those are huge parts of Brazilian music. There's I don't know how many indigenous rhythms in Brazil, but there's a hell of a lot more than two, So we're going to go over a couple more. One or two of them will be somewhat obscure, but this first one, it's called Baião. And it's a really easy to hear rhythm. And I'm gonna let the loop play, and then I'm gonna explain how to adapt that to drum set, and also the correlation that I like to find conceptually with all these things and how to approach it, just from like a forest for the trees kind of thing. So you'll hear the basic rhythm, which is not hard to hear. It's not like some secret weird clave that's you feel one in a different place. One is where you feel it, where you hear it, and I'll count it for you. But then I'm going to show you how I approach it. So I kind of approach this particular Brazilian rhythm when we play it on a gig. If I'm on a gig and the cats know how to play this certain thing, let's do it as a baião. Okay, cool. So in the way that I conceptualize it, I'm playing on the ride cymbal, sort of like approximating some of the time I'm playing what the triangle is playing, ticka-ding, 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 like accenting the offbeat. And then my left hand is kind of like the left hand in jazz. It kind of improvises. Not as seemingly like kind of not as much. You kind of have to pick your moments a little bit more in my concept of doing it. And then the bass drums is playing the obvious pattern. So if we could hit play on that. One, two. Brazilian music, typically they hear it in two. 1, 2, 1, 2. So. So yeah, that's kind of just my basic approach to that rhythm. Of course, my iPad just died. That has the list of all the other stuff that I had going on there. So it's going to be a little bit of a guessing game from here out. um, but yeah, so hopefully, and I also can't see the comments anymore because technology is not my friend. Um, yeah, it's the new USB-C. I have it plugged in. It's just the that's not giving me enough juice. Yeah, you're not gonna get. That's not big enough for an iPad, dude. You need one of these. Okay, cool. That thing's like my hero. Bush League. All right. Thank God for my. I'm not going to say trusty sidekick. I'm going to say more of my existential guru, Greg Rutledge, here on. There we go. There's the Apple logo. Yay. So yeah, just following up a little bit more on that bial rhythm. It's kind of it's a sneaky little rhythm that you could drop into almost any genre that's not triplety, and get away with playing some really exciting ethnic rhythms in public because even lay people can get that groove. So yeah, either. Various artists that you could check out that play songs with that style. Joao Bosco, Joao, I think is how you spell it. Joao, which is like the Portuguese version of like Joe or something, I guess. Sorry about me being cavalier about this stuff. It's like everyone's so precious about everything, and it's like, oh, you're not saying it properly. It's just like, okay. But I know a lot about the music, and I'm telling you how to hear it. So don't hate me. Don't at me, bro. Excellent. Okay, so the next rhythm up for discussion on the Price is Right is, yeah, so the next one up would be just a regular bossa nova. You can keep that going. We all kind of are familiar with this, I hope. Okay, you can stop that. So conceptually, this one is something that most people are familiar with. People know the Girl from Ipanema and all those wonderful Antonio Carlos Jobim songs of, the past. Again, just a quick explanation of how I conceptualize that. I kind of liken everything to, it's kind of like jazz. Like what holds the fort down and what improvises. And in this, you're typically, not always playing the bass drum pattern, boom, go, go, and the right hand is typically playing consistent eighth notes. And your left hand on the cross stick is typically what improvises. There's such a thing as people like to call bossa clave, which is, what you just heard. But once you get, comfortable with the style, the undercurrent of the rhythm is kind of enough to ground people to the bossa nova, just as like if you're playing jazz, you don't always have to. You're gonna want to start interacting, so you play all your little independence things, so on and so forth. But with bossa nova, the improv within the groove typically takes place with the left hand on the cross stick, so things like this. That's a little busy, but I'm just giving you a lot of variations to demonstrate that point that we won't belabor because most people are pretty hip to the bossa nova. However, this next one is called Partido Alto, which means high part, probably. Again, don't at me, bro. So I'll give you an example of Partido Alto, and here we go. One, two, one, two, one. Cool. So that's a fun little one because it's just a different kind of sound and groove. It's syncopated and it's kind of sounds somewhat flipped, um, as opposed to the other Brazilian rhythm that sounds flipped that I know. I mean, there's hundreds probably, but the other one that I know that sounds flipped is called Afuxê, which I didn't cue up a loop to play along with, but Afuxê is kind of like one, one. So you're not hearing it one. You know what I mean? You're hearing one, one. So that's Afuxê. A good example of that to hear it in the form of a song would be a song called Sina, Sina, by Javan, who is the equivalent of basically the Stevie Wonder of Brazil. Incredible artist, endless great records. Can't recommend his music enough, especially the sweet spot for me, which was like the 70s and some of the 80s. I think the song Sina is off a record called Loose, like light, if I'm not mistaken. Although, a lot of beers. So yeah, getting back to Partido Alto, that style, it can be played at multiple tempos, obviously. There's a really cool tune by Ayrton Moreira I think it's called Partido Alto, so that takes the mystery out of finding that one. Killing bass stuff on it. It's like a slap line. It's really, really cool stuff. So check that out for your Partido Alto pleasure. This next one, I believe it's from the northern, if I'm not mistaken, northern part of Brazil. Not that most people give a shit, but just trying to be thorough. And if I'm wrong, correct me or sue me. I will take applications for either of those scenarios. But in all seriousness, folks, because come on, let's get serious. Oh, my buddy from Brazil, Bruno Alves, is on this in the comments section here. Um, he reminded me of something very funny. Great keyboard player, Bruno Alves from Brazil. He came to LA right when I got to LA as well. And I had a roommate, my buddy Esteban, and me were living in Angelino Heights in Echo Park. And we had this house that we lived in. And boy, were there a lot of fun times that went down at that place. This is the place where I shit you not. We literally, like, I was in this rock band called Cast of Kings, and we were a debaucherous bunch. We used to barbecue in the living room. Now, I mean, if that's not some caveman shit, I don't know what is. But good times were had, like so many good times. I can't even tell you. Man, life at some points has been really fun for me. Maybe too much fun. So yeah, Bruno, young Bruno, at that point came to stay with us for a couple of weeks, and we did a few gigs together, and we hung out, and we brought him to gigs, and at that point, I was 10 years younger, maybe a little bit more than that or whatever. And, I was a free man back then. So I was doing really well with the girls while Bruno was there. So he just texted me something that's an inside joke. um, yeah, I'll leave it at that. Good to see you, my brother. I hope you're well. I'm sure you're tearing it up. Hey, Margaret. Hey, what's going on, folks? I'm glad some got some peeps out there listening. Um, this next example is called, again, it's from the north of Brazil. It's called Maracatu, and if you would be so kind as to play that. One. So that's the maracatu. So the basic rhythm is ba uh one ska ska ska. That's some flavorful stuff, rhythmically speaking. In the U.S. And a lot of other places, we like to dwell in the petrified forest of which again, I say that tongue in cheek. I'm happy to play that groove all night, but if you're looking for some flavor or some spice, the world is in your pocket on your phone, so you can Google these things and YouTube these things, and there'll be some treasures that you will find, as I have over the years. That you know, new beats, man. New beats mean new jams. So hopefully you'll investigate some of these things that I'm throwing out there for you. I am by no means the judge and jury on this stuff. I just love it and I play it my way, and I hope I honor the tradition enough to not upset anyone. But you guys know me. All right, so now we're going to jump to that swinging island in the Caribbean.
I may still be on the previous track.
Yep.
So that's the previous one, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's the one after that. We're gonna go back a little bit to a couple of early forms of where the kind of modern salsa and Latin jazz diasporas kind of ended up because of these initial ones. So the first thing we're going to check out is called Afro, and this rhythm, I think, and it's embarrassing if I'm wrong, I think this is the rhythm that's playing during the donkey show in The Godfather Part 2. So bust that, film peeps. All right. Whoops. Boom. So way back then, which again, I'm likely wrong, but the earlier part of the 20th century, so like 19 whatever, 20-ish. Let's just pick that because it's round.
The typical Afro-Cuban rhythm section did not have drum set involved in it. That came in the 70s with Changuito, with Los Bamban, and we'll get there soon, believe it or not. We're covering a lot of, time and geography here in a short amount of time for our short attention spans. We like that. So that groove typically would be played by like maracas, bongos, clave, and a güiro. I don't even know if and congas too. Yeah, but yeah, no drum set anywhere. A lot of reverb.
Now,
Uh,
I just wanted to make sure it was working. You're the only thing making noise.
Not a lot of drum set going on in Afro-Cuban rhythm sections until the late '70s, and then it started becoming more common. Um, so, what do you do if you're on a gig and someone calls? We're gonna play Con Alma, but we're gonna do it Afro. Just top of my head. Someone counts to four. Do you just lay out? It depends on what the instrumentation is. A lot of the time, my approach when playing with other percussionists, or even one percussionist, is to just stay the hell off of the toms, because it's like when you're playing keyboard bass, or if you're in a band with a bass player and a keyboard player, and the keyboard player starts playing a lot of low stuff with his left hand. Bass player no like that, no likey. He's like, don't do that, bad,
Filter those tones out of your patches first.
because uh, because that's their territory. The bass is like, oh, that's my territory, so don't. There's always exceptions, and there's always like, so if you're playing jazz and the keyboard player can walk, it's like, why not have a walking bass line under the bass player that's soloing? Hey, what a concept. So again, there's rules and there's things to be aware of, but there's also times to throw those things to the wind. Okay, so another style real quick, which I think is a very short clip, which you might want to expand, so that those fields are bigger. Yeah, there you go. The next thing is just a bolero, so I'll play an example of that. Yeah, so the dum, 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 two. So if I were to play along, something like that, just stay out of the way and keep nice time. You know, I'm kind of glossing over these a little bit because we got a lot of other rhythms to get to, and I'm not gonna bore you with things that you already know. Like, I know that most of you know what a bossa nova is, bolero. Certain things are a little less common, so I'm trying to edutain a little bit, slip you a little bit of knowledge. If some of you guys I know are way beyond all this, but for those of you that aren't, it opens up a really incredible universe of wonderful, um, exotic. That was funny that the reverb just jumped up for the word exotic music that you probably wouldn't have been, very,
I was pre-planned with that.
very hip to, just as being, growing up here. The next thing is a cha-cha, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with.
All right. Have I got time to? I probably have time to run to my truck real quick if I'm back in like two. Okay. Yeah, the shortcuts for navigating, moving the playhead around. Like I printed out all the Reaper keyboard shortcuts. They're not on there. Like just the keyboard shortcuts for moving the playhead around. What will they not think of next? It's endless.
Sorry about that, folks. We had a brownout. What are you gonna do? Brownouts happen. Ooh, my voice sounds more robust today. Robust is one of my favorite words. I've got a few colloquialisms. All right. Where the hell was I? Sorry. Oh, okay. Now I know. We were just cha-chaing. So yeah, cha-chas are, you know, another very well-known rhythm. It's not that uncommon. Um, okay, sorry, I'm just getting my bearings here. Yeah, we had a brownout. Yay! It's all Gavin Newsom's fault. I'm kidding. It's definitely not his fault. He's at fault for other things, just not that. Or maybe he is. All right. So yeah, cha-cha. I would integrate just by playing just keeping it sparse and groovy and not stepping on the percussionist's open tones with my toms again. Okay, let me just pull up my. I lost my assistant here for a second. Hold on. That's not the session. All right. God hates me.
Which is fine because he doesn't exist.
All right, folks. Sorry about the technical problems, but this brownout that we just had kind of fucked up my my plans for the rest of today's stream. It's going good. I'll do part 2 coming up on next Tuesday. But for now, I think I'm just gonna say thanks for watching, and there's a lot more to come. I'm gonna break down a lot more Cuban folklore and Cuban popular music. You know, through the '90s. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna do that next Tuesday. Um, but just FYI, each week I'm gonna pick topics like this, and I'll be streaming on multiple platforms as usual. I'm still new at this, still getting my bearings and everything together. I'm having fun doing it, and it's weird for me because I'm not that guy, but you know, I'm having fun, and it's nice to see old friends pop up on my screen. And until next Tuesday, hey Joey, what's up, buddy? Love you, man. Love you, miss you. Hello, Brian Charette. My God, Victor, what's up, buddy? So yeah, I was getting through the majority of these rhythms that we were working on today and explaining how to incorporate them onto the kit. Then we had a brownout, as it happens from time to time in California. But it kind of derailed. My DAW crashed, so I need to get a one of those power surge protector things because I can't really have that happening anymore. Too much gear to protect. So again, thanks for checking it out, and I'm going to deal with these technical issues off camera. I'll be back on Tuesday and Friday and Tuesday and Friday and Tuesday and Friday. Hope you all have a good weekend. Stay safe. Get vaccinated if you can, and let's get back to normal because I sure miss playing the drums in stadiums. So we'll see you next time. Okay, man. I'm so sorry that I'm not going to be able to continue today. I had this whole lesson plan laid out. Love you, Jeff. Thanks for hanging in there, buddy. We'll talk soon. What up, Victor? I love all you people. I'll see you on Tuesday, 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 Eastern. Keep in touch with yourself.